This
And if I
conference
want
will
to see the
now be
output,
recorded.
compulsorily I need to say s1 dot x.
X. Mhm.
So then only I can get the output, right?
Yes.
Now,
Oh, but yeah.
if I static, otherwise I cannot be able to access it. Static int some z is equals to 44.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to access that,
I can't hear you.
hello.
Yeah. I just got the connection now.
Okay, right. So that's what I'm saying.
Static example dot set. Okay.
Right. So let me create a constructor. Now, what I would like to do is, I don't want to, I haven't defined this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you said that it is final and final, so that then only, I mean, the value should be fixed. But I did not, what do you say? I did not give any value.
Maybe it shares the same reference throughout the program.
So what it is giving me? It is giving me
0.
some duplicate value.
Okay.
Okay, so fine. What if I declare it as a final and static? Now the question comes here. So if it was a static, just only static, then that's fine. But if it is final and static, you must and should have to
Initialize it with some value.
You must and should have to assign. You need to initialize a value. Compulsory. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So whatever you declare, if the variable you declare it as final and static, not just a static. If you declare any variable as final and static, then only it is called a constant. Basically, we call them as constants. So let's say I'm 44. Now, if I run that, the value is 44. We know that,
Yeah.
right? Now, what I'm going to do is I would like to create a constructor now. I'm going to create a constructor. Now here, it says that I cannot assign a value because that was a final variable.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can assign over here. Okay, right. Oh. Okay, so there is something called a static block. If a variable is final and static,
It's muted.
hello, yeah,
Yeah.
final and static, then we have a chance to provide a value. We have a chance to provide a value in the static block. Are you getting me?
Hmm.
Hello,
Yeah.
Jyoti, are you getting me?
Yeah.
So if I didn't assign, if I didn't assign a variable value, then I have an option. I have an option to assign a value in the static block. Fine. I would like to show you another thing also. Final int x, which is not a static. Final int some y.
Hmm.
Final int y. Final means also I have to assign. If it is not static also, final means I have to assign. Are you getting me? I would like to give
Okay.
you some clarity over here. Now, what I would like to do is, if I didn't, if I didn't give a value, okay, static example. Is that my? Okay. So here we have any constructor. If any variable, any final variable is there, so you have a chance to implement a final variable. So final means basically we have to provide a value. Okay, final means when you want to give some fixed content. But final static means the same copy, the fixed content, you cannot modify. You cannot modify. You cannot modify. And if you haven't assigned a value, let's say here 55 I have given. Now you cannot assign. But if you did not define a value for a final and static, you have an option to give a value in the static block.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
you're getting me right?
Yeah.
So what did you understand, Jyoti, here?
When it is final and static, we have a chance to initialize in the static block. Whereas if you only give final,
Final and
then
static.
it we cannot do it. We cannot initialize it again or assign a value again if we just give final.
So I wanted to tell you final and static means basically a constant. If
Hmm.
if you haven't defined, you don't have a chance to define it in a constructor. You don't have a chance to define in a constructor. But we have a chance to define for final and static in the static block case only.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Okay.
Final and static is a variable which is to represent the constant, and that copy will be shared to the entire application. But
Hmm.
if you just declare it as a final variable, I would like to show you something here. 44. Okay.
Okay.
So final means here the value has been fixed. And if even if we give the value and the next time in the constructor, it will not allow you to redefine the value.
Redefine.
Anything
Yes.
final you cannot redefine. But if you haven't provided the value at the time of initialization, you have an option to provide in the constructor.
Only in the
Okay, fine.
constructor.
Yeah,
Oh,
only in the constructor.
okay.
Right. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So I have another constructor. Okay.
Hmm.
And here, what is happening?
You're trying to
Y
reassign
is
a
my
value.
final variable. So that means all the final variables are at a constructor level, at the
Mm.
object level. How do you create an object? When you want to create an object, we need a constructor. So
Yeah.
final variables are only object level, but static and final are not object level. They're class level. So that's why we cannot duplicate it.
Okay.
Okay. Even in the
Okay.
static block also we cannot duplicate.
Right now, is that
So
okay? Like
now,
you have written 55 and 66 two times. Will that be okay right now? Because the constructor it's like parameterized constructor and one is without parameters. So will that be okay?
yes. So how do I call a constructor? I must and should have to create an object, right?
Yeah.
I've created an object for an empty constructor, right?
Yes.
And the next time, I would like to create another constructor, uh, run as.
Oh, it's still S1. You should
There is some error.
the S1, the object name should be something else, right? You two S1s we have given in the object name.
Oh, I don't want this.
Mhm. Okay.
Getting. So they're object level. So then we have a chance for a final variable. We have a chance to define a value at the constructor level. If you don't want to define a variable final, which is final.
It got muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jyoti.
Yeah.
So you got my point right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello. So
Yeah. I
static
can.
example, what we're defining is any final variable, we have an option to provide for a final variable in the constructor. But for the final and static, we don't have an option except the static block. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the reason any constants, if you want to declare, it's not be just a final. It should be final and static. So that means fixed content.
Okay.
So that content will be shared throughout the application or any other where you want to access. So I can access these variables in another way with the class name. I can access in any other place. So with the class name .z, if I say I can access the variable, right? You getting me right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. Now we have seen now what is a variable for static and final or generally what is a static variable. And coming to the static method, what do you mean by static method? So if we declare any method as static, let's say M1 is my method. Oh, so what is the use of static method? Static method, where it is. Oh, right. M1 is my static method. So here the return type I did not give. Okay, void M1, and now I must have to return something. Sorry, I don't need to return anything because it's a
Because it's
void.
void.
So static method, directly we can call it, right? Let's
Okay.
say I have a, if I have two methods, one is M1 and the other is a M2. I have two methods. So if I want to call these two methods, what I need, if it is a non-static, I must and should have to access with the
Object.
object reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the object reference.
But
For
M1
a
I can call
static,
directly.
I don't need any object reference directly, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You getting me right?
Yeah, I got it.
So M1, we can call it, we can access it directly. So if this method, if I would like to access in any other class, so what I have to do for that? M1 is a static method. If I have to access this method in any other class, what I have to do? Do I need to create an object?
No, I guess we can call that directly.
Well, okay, how do you call directly?
Mm,
With a class name. You have to take the class name and call that class with the class name. Are you getting me?
mhm,
Suppose I have a class, something called some new one, something like this. And here, anything if I want to, like let's say, I want to call the method M1. So I need to use what the class name. Are you getting me?
okay. Static
So
example.
my M3 has a dependency on M1. So if it is an object method, then I have to create an object. But it is not an object method, it is a class method. That means
Class
it is a
method.
static method. So directly I can declare a class name and I have to access. So that is the use of static method. Static method, if you want to access anywhere, you can access just with the class's name because they are not object level. That's it. Make sense?
Yeah,
Okay. And static block. We have discussed about static block. What is the purpose of static block?
if you
Any
want to
knowledge?
initialize the static final variable which you did not initially assign any value, you can do that in the static block.
Yeah, but that is an optional case.
Okay.
The purpose of static block is not that. So the purpose of the static block is something. The purpose of the static block is I I wanted to execute some piece of code before my main method starts. I would like to execute some piece of code before my main method starts. Let's say database connection.
Mm-hmm.
I have written. So we know that programming execution starts from the main, but
Even
before
before the
your main method
constructor.
is called,
Okay.
even before the constructor, your
Okay.
static block will be executed. The purpose of static block is you want to execute something before
The
before
main.
the main before the main method or any other thing. Then you have to keep it static. For example, I went to the ATM center and I put my card
Hello. Uh, hello. Uh, Purnagaru, I can't hear you. Hello?
Can you hear me now, Jyoti?
Yes, I don't know. Today it's just all breaking. Yeah.
Sorry?
Today it's all just breaking. It was paused for
Uh,
like 20, 30 seconds. Yeah.
yeah, some network connection is there
No
from my
problem.
side. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, okay, no problem.
network issue it was. So I'll fix it. That's not a
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
By the next class, I'll fix.
Okay.
So now what I'm saying is static is a block where I want to maintain a mandatory things, and before my application starts, my actual execution starts, I want to implement some code. Like example, database connectivity should be there before I reach to my actual application. Then in that case, you are supposed to keep that in the static block. The purpose of the static block is something we want to execute before a main method or any mandatory code to be executed. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to keep it inside the static block.
Okay.
So how many static blocks can I have in an application? Any
Uh,
number of static blocks.
okay.
Some piece of code might contain database connectivity issues. Some piece of information contain your, I mean, port usage details. Who is using the port number or something else? Can you hear me, Jyoti?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I can have any number of static blocks. I can have any number of static blocks. That is connected port usage. You got me right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Oh, yes, I got you.
Okay, fine. Any questions for me regarding the static?
Nothing as of now. I just need to revise it
Clear?
once. Yeah.
Okay, so we have seen static class, sorry, static variable, static method, static block. So I also told you something like a static class. What is static class? I have a class, some class name example one, and in the class, can I declare another class inside inside another class? Yes. So I can declare it. But the thing is, oh, we basically call them as inner classes. A class inside another class is
Mm-hmm.
called inner classes.
Yeah, nested classes.
So nested classes or inner classes.
Mm-hmm.
So they have different purposes. So in future, if I want to access some piece of code, I need to create an object of this class. But all the time, I don't want to create an object. In that case, what I would like to do is, if I declare it as a static, if I declare it as a static, I don't need to create an object of this class. Inner classes are for specific purpose. Inner class for specific purpose. So static class, if I declare any class as a static, so that I don't need to create an object, I can access it. Are you getting me? Hello?
Yeah.
You're getting me right? So that's the purpose of it might have some code, some piece of code. So this piece of code I would like to access it. In that case, I need to declare it as a static class. Only inner classes can be static, not outer classes. Inner classes can be static, not outer. I cannot declare it as outer class as static. See here, if I'm trying to declare, it says error because you cannot declare outer classes as static. We can only declare inner classes as static. And if you're declaring inner classes as static, they have a specific purpose. They have some specialization. Like that, we have some inner classes which have been predefined. And whatever the methods we have, directly we can access. See here, a class can contain both static. Your static class can contain static methods as well as non-static methods.
Oh,
Static methods as well as non-static methods. It's not compulsory the class is static so that the method should be static.
oh, the variables
Are you
have to
getting
be
me?
static, I guess.
Variables,
How about the variables? Variables also can be non-static.
non-static. You can
Okay.
non-static. Make sense?
Mhm.
So if I want to access this class so that I don't need to create an object. Example one dot example two of M4, I can call it. And they need to have some specialized purpose. So that is about your static. Static can be used at variable, at method, at class, at block. We don't need to create an object, we can access with the class name. In any class, if I want to access a method or a variable, I can directly take the class name. So that is the advantage of the class.
Mhm.
So, and one more point, all the static things, memory will be allocated at the time of loading the class. Class loading. We call it as class loading. That's a point.
Okay.
So this is about your static. Any questions for me?
Oh, no, no, I'm good.
And you hope you got it. What is the difference between a final variable and a final
Yeah,
static variable?
yeah.
Final
That,
variable has a
yeah.
chance to define it, but final and static it doesn't have a chance, except a static block. Except the static block. In the static block, we can define if we didn't provide a value for the final and static. So this is about your static. And so how do you go through this T point anytime? Which site do you follow generally?
Mm. I have seen
Hello.
this. I have seen this site like yesterday because I saw you going over this. I have gone through this, but generally I use tutorials point.
You used to go to any other
Geeks for
thing, any
Geeks.
other
Yeah.
media?
Yeah, Geeks for
Geeks
Geeks
for
or
Geeks.
mm,
That's good. That's a good sign. And so just to go through the static again back and coming to the string. What do you know about string? What is basically a string?
mm, well, strings are immutable in Java. You cannot change them, but if you want to change them, you
Okay.
can use that string builder class. You can change them.
Okay. Right. Why string is immutable?
So that you can have the same refer. I mean, if you use the same string again, you can refer that to the same memory, like for all the things which are allocated, which are created.
In real time, where this is useful for me? Any scenario where you it will be useful? Any knowledge?
No, I just know this theoretical one.
That right. But that's true. But we need to know like
The
where it is exactly useful. And so the point is here, if you see your username or passwords when you're creating an application. So I mean the user will be giving the credential from a HTML form, and
Mhm,
those values we are going to read it through the Pojo class, a Java class, and whatever the password or username you're giving, those are all the things will be captured with the help of a string. So if you are setting with a string, so that next time if the user has seen your password or something, they cannot add extra two or three letters and they cannot modify it. They want to fix it. So that means the string is immutable because the string class is final class.
okay.
Are you getting me?
Hmm.
When you say immutable, mutable means it is modifiable. Immutable means it cannot be modifiable. String is immutable because it is a final. It's a class actually.
Hmm.
It has a backend algorithm or a backend structure. Are you getting me?
Okay.
String is an immutable class in the sense string is a final class. Any final class cannot be modifiable by adding an extra thing or something. So if a password has been set, so let's say like Jyoti123. So someone
Hmm.
has is trying to put Jyoti 12345.
Hmm.
They cannot modify. It
But
cannot
wait,
reach.
but
So it will
we
not allow. It will not allow. Hmm.
I mean, I quite didn't
Tell me.
get the practical application. Like, if it is matching the password, then it can go forward. If not, it can reject. But what is the point of being string immutable over there? I didn't quite catch you.
That's what I'm saying. What happens is if someone sees your when you're typing or something and they're trying
Oh,
to I mean they're trying with if they know exact thing, that's okay.
mhm.
Otherwise if they're trying more extra letters or something, then the same object will be working on that. So we would
Okay,
like
okay,
to avoid it. Why
okay.
we will make a password
Gotcha.
is secret, that is the case. So if I know one or two letters and if I add something, if it is able to modifiable, then that's finish. So that's the reason string they made it as a final class. Generally passwords and email IDs, whatever you're defining, they are final. But string, they thought of having sometimes I would like to modify, not like passwords or something. So in that case, they have given some other classes. Okay, they
Mm-hmm.
are string buffer and string builder classes.
Yeah.
String builder is a class where you can modify,
Modify.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can modify. So okay, that's a different scenario where whenever you would like to modify your data, so then you have to go for string builder. There are string buffer and string builder. There are two different classes what we have extra. So hope you got it. What will happen basically? So
Mm-hmm.
string whenever you say
Yeah,
when someone
exactly.
has given the same value, it will point the object. It will not create a new object.
It'll point to
It
the
will not create
same.
a new object. It will point to the same. But in case of string builder, if the value if it is something the same, it will create a new object. But here, depending upon your value, object will be created in case of string. If the value got mapped, it will not create a new object. Both will point to the existing one only. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the thing mainly. So string can be created in two ways, by using a literal and by using a keyword called
New
new.
keyword.
There are
Most
two
probably.
ways by using a direct string s equal to value or string s equal to new string. So that is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are two ways we can create a string, by literal and by new keyword. And there is another thing what he's saying is with the help of character also we can create a string, something like a character
Character
array,
array.
and we have to, but this is not actual, this is a methodology where you are going to convert, but it is not the actual way of creating a string. We can create only with the literal or with a new keyword.
Mm-hmm.
So that is some other way, we cannot say that is a string we are creating. So we would like to read some values, we can convert it into character array. Then you can read the values of individual letters or something. If you want to split the values of a string, or if you want to apply some pattern, or if you want to find out some particular letters of that particular position, then you have to convert it into character array. Other than that, there is no character based or something. We cannot say it as a string.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many methods. Hope you are aware of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The string, you want to convert lowercase, uppercase, and
Length,
you want to
string.
find out length of that. Majorly, we'll be checking the length. Okay, is empty. If the string is not empty, these are all the methods of what we have. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, we have declared what is immutability of the string. Immutability means we
It
cannot
cannot be
modify.
changed.
So if the yeah, if the value is same, it will point to the existing object because it's a final class. Can we create an immutable classes? Yes, we can. We have to create a final class. If we declare anything as a final class, that is called a immutable.
Okay.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you stop inheritance? We can stop inheritance if we declare it as a final. If you declare any class as a final, the class cannot be extended.
Okay.
So we can stop inheritance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is these are the things just we have discussed today, and later on we will discuss more about the things. And in the meanwhile, just to go through ahead with the string and create some final class. How do you create
Yeah.
a final class? And
Okay.
what is what are the other? We have some other immutable classes. What are the other apart from the string? What are the other immutable classes? Do you know
No, I don't
the other
exactly don't.
immutable?
No.
Okay, check with them. What are the other immutable classes? Not
Okay.
only string, we have some other classes. By
Mm-hmm.
next class, I wanted you to tell me what are the other immutable classes, and
Okay.
also I wanted you to create one final class. I mean, final immutable class by user defined, and tell me how what is the purpose you have created.
For
Make
the
sense,
final?
Jyoti? Yeah, about final.
Okay.
Create a final class and please let me know like what is your understandability why you are creating a final class, and tell me
Okay.
what are the predefined immutable classes also. Apart from string, there are some immutable classes in the Java. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
By next class, you need to tell me these things. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Fine. And later on, we'll start up with the. I'm not giving you like in particular. If you want any other on topic on any other thing, please let me know. I'll see. I'm just going ahead because you have already some knowledge. I don't want to waste your time also.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So when
yeah,
it is
I'll
related,
go over this thing so that will be easy. The one which you are referring.
hmm. So what is required, we have to focus, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
the next class directly I'll discuss with exception handling. Or else if you want me to discuss this abstract classes and these things, we'll discuss. Abstract classes and interfaces, you have a clarity? You have a
Act-
clarity?
Actually, no, that is what I want.
You want them?
Abstract. Yeah, I want
Okay,
abstract. That.
definitely. So I'll discuss with you in the next class abstract and interfaces.
Okay.
Okay, Jyoti.
Yeah.
Any
Thank you.
questions for me, Jyoti?
Uh, Nothing as of
You're
now.
clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, nothing. It's just with
Okay.
the
So in the next
schedule.
class,
I'll
we'll
talk to Naveen.
sure, sure. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.